Hello and welcome to Spiritual Dating Mastery. This is Cyrus, and today's video we're going to talk about the unicorn, the ideal type of woman that you should be finding dating. And this doesn't just mean looking for a wife. I mean, honestly, like I've repeated on this channel, even if you just hook up with a girl, you don't want to bring the bad energy into your life. You don't want to bring the wrong types of women into your life, even if it's just for one night. Right, so even if you're just on Tinder and you're one of those guys, I see my video a couple of videos back, there's a small minority of guys who have success with Tinder, and you are one, and you're just on there looking to hit something. Think twice about the types of women you're bringing into your life, even for one night. Even for one night can be dangerous to you, let alone dating someone for weeks or months or marrying someone the rest of your life. To me, it doesn't matter how long it is that you're around a particular kind of woman. If you're around a toxic kind of woman, which again I outlined in an earlier video, it's going to be dangerous to your health, your sanity, your finances, your livelihood, all of this. Very dangerous, and you need to be very cautious. So the kind of wholesome woman I'm going to describe, that should be the standard for anything. So again, even girls who have the attributes I'm going to list, like they'll still hook up with you. You can still have a casual relationship or a fling with these types of girls. Sometimes the most wholesome girls you meet. I'm not this kind of black-pilled guy. It's like, oh, if a woman has slept with X number of men, then you need to throw her out. You need to have some kind of virgin priestess. And look, if that is your thing, that's okay. And I hope that you find that. But realistically, I mean, a lot of women, have had multiple partners in their lives, just like a lot of men have multiple partners. Actually, if a lot of men want to have multiple partners, then mathematically, women have to be having multiple partners. The main point is that whether it's a hookup or whether it's a long-term relationship, don't lower your standards. In fact, there's a lot of these unicorn girls out there, women who are wholesome, who have these qualities that go in contrast to the social movements that are incredibly toxic in the West, who are also have some level of fitness and attractive ability. So, these aren't women who are like endangered and missing. You really can find lots of them. You just won't find lots of them if you're living in Los Angeles, if you're living in New York City, if you're living in Vancouver, if you're living in London. Then it's going to be difficult. But you go outside of the big cities and you go to any non-Western culture that's a little bit more traditional, you're going to meet these types of women. So let's take a look at the list I came up of some quick attributes. We'll go over them. By the way, subscribe to this channel right now. It's the only way you'll keep seeing videos being made like this by me. This is a side project, and if I start getting subscribers, I'll keep making videos for you guys. But if I don't, then I might go back to my other channels, my other kind of work. But I think this stuff is important. I think there's this spiritual crisis happening in the West. That's why I'm making these videos, especially for men. Okay, so let's take a quick look at. Let me pull this up. So, a few bullet points. Number one, embraces femininity, and pretty simple. And it doesn't mean that, maybe I know some guys who like tomboys, kind of short hair, kind of tough. And that's perfectly fine too. In fact, heck, I think a lot of us kind of liked Sigourney Weaver in Aliens. But when you think about it, even Sigourney Weaver, despite being so tough, she also really embraced her femininity. I think that's why a lot of men liked her too, because just think about the major themes of that film when she was protecting the little girl that she found, and defending. It showed a lot of qualities of like defending the family and taking care of your loved ones, and all of that. Even if maybe it doesn't mean that she had to have like super long hair and wear dresses and whatever the case might be. That doesn't necessarily mean femininity. Femininity is a lot of it has to do with nurturing energy, which again doesn't mean you can't have a masculine attribute as well or hobbies. But if a woman rejects femininity, it means that she is rejecting kind of this nurturing ability, that this strength that women have. So corrupt Western culture tries to brainwash women into believing that femininity is wrong and you need to basically become more like a man, which is ironic because feminism is supposed to be a rejection, a lot of it's rejection of a patriarchy. But on the flip side, especially the sex negative versions of feminism are making women into more like men, right? Isn't the best way to reject a patriarchy by becoming more feminine? But again, it's all doublespeak, especially all these socially controlled political types of movements which have it, or you can tell you're being manipulated when it has this Orwellian quality about it. So that's another one. Okay, so next is loves family. So obviously in the West, you'll see this really nasty habit of, number one, not respecting elders, forgetting about your elders as they get older, not respecting parents, not respecting other people in the family, not keeping good relationships with the family. Everyone's broken. A family that's badly broken, oftentimes the person who's at fault is the person that you're talking to. If they're like, yeah, my family's all messed up, no one talks to each other, well, it's like, why don't you contact your cousins on Facebook? Why don't you try to repair that at least a little bit? And yeah, maybe that someone's entire family might be toxic, in which case you can do nothing about it. But it's a red flag if they just don't have any good relations with anyone in their family, because most likely that's the fault of that person. So the backbone of Western civilization is the family, and if a woman doesn't love her family and doesn't look out for her family, she's never going to look out for you, and she's on a self-centered path in life that's corrosive and basically a war path. It's going to hurt everybody around her. Next is introspective and thoughtful. So I talked about this in the types of women to avoid video. Not being introspective, not being thoughtful, big problem. So introspection is the ability to look inward, to grow, to self-develop, to acknowledge faults, mistakes, and be working toward becoming a better person. If a woman's meaning in life, she derives from getting an X number of likes from her selfies on Instagram, then you know she has misplaced values. So someone who's introspective makes a mistake and is conscious and thoughtful about it, and is also kind and generous to people around them. Goes for men and women alike. Again, kind of basic tenets of wholesome society. You have to have an introspective and thoughtful life to be a good person. Balanced and not radicalized. There's many external forces attempting to radicalize people in society right now. And, if she is showing support for Antifa or communism or radical movements, and in my opinion, this can potentially go into the right wing. It's just much less of a problem. It's much less of an immediate issue. There's a certain movement that begins with a particular letter, and some people get involved in that and also become just radicalized with politics, and that's part of the problem too. You don't want someone who, even if they're in a reactionary movement, we need level-headed people. And if you bring a woman into your life who is radicalized, and it could easily lead to a lot of strife, a lot of fighting, and attempts to radicalize you. And if you don't want to go down that path, then you don't want radical people in your life. But worst of all, if it is radicalized on the left, which is the pervasive problem right now in the West, then it's going to come with it probably all this other stuff: lack of introspection, hatred of family, rejection of femininity, because these are like the anti-values that these movements are spurring on. Antifa, BLM. If you look at what their manifestos are, it's about the destruction of the family. Literally speaking, that's on the BLM corporate website. The corporate branch of BLM has one of their goals is that at least they had it before they pulled it out, which was the destruction of the family. So you don't want someone like that in your life. Takes care of appearance. This goes with embraces femininity. So a big part of femininity is being kind of at least leaning toward beautiful. We can't fix something if we're genetically at a stopping point. But if you take almost any woman and she doesn't, if she takes seriously her appearance, then she's going to be attractive. This is why in countries I go to, almost every single woman is attractive, because it's just in their culture to take care of their appearances. So if I was in Kiev, Ukraine, the waitress could have been like a fashion model back in the States. It's always a joke, the main export of fashion models. And I mean a real fashion model, not like a skin and bones weirdo, but I mean like, beautiful, like, I'm thinking, trying to think some, some names that come to mind. Who are some fashion models? I don't even know. But let's think about Bridget Bardot in the 60s or something. You know what I mean? Like genuinely hot, genuinely beautiful, genuinely like eye-popping. And these are just normal women that I would meet in places like Ukraine. But even putting that standard aside, just not everyone is gifted with those types of genetics. So even if the girl is a shy librarian who doesn't have as many physical attributes that we would normally consider to be sexy, that's fine. It doesn't you shouldn't be extremely judgy, because there's only there's such a point where, number one, physical appearance does fade over time, and number two, not everyone has a perfect genetic record and can get some of those amazing qualities that a lot of men want. But the main point is that you at least try, right? So if the woman isn't trying to maintain her appearance, especially if you try to maintain your appearance, and it's tougher for men because we usually have to work out and lift weights and do crunches. Women, primarily need to just diet and do some basic exercise. But if they can't do that, and especially you're doing it but they're not, just stay away, because number one, you'll never feel very excited to be around her, because men, we are hardwired to want signs of fertility. And you're not going to get signs of fertility in a woman who just eats Funyuns and keeps growing in a horizontal direction. And this goes back to these other points. So lies about feminism, for example, tell us we should reject your feminine qualities, which means you should, all this stuff by being fat, all this whole fat-friendly movement. It's going to go down paths where women are encouraged to reject even their own appearance or not care about it, and give them permission to indulge in horrible eating habits or whatever it might be, and then blame people for judging them, right? So again, it goes back to being brainwashed by this stuff. So if a woman takes care of her appearance, it shows that she's not brainwashed, and shows that she knows what's up, and knows that men really, we don't want to be with a woman who is overweight. And look, some men like meat with their potatoes, even me a little bit, but that's not what I mean. As a woman, she needs to know that she can look good, and it's important, but not growing horizontally. You know when the fat's in the wrong places, and your appearance will radically drop. Men will basically you'll be repelling men from your life, and this happens as soon as a woman's face becomes a bit too fat. Like, if you care about bringing quality men into your life and having good dating options and being able to decide who your partner is going to be rather than just taking any schlump who walks your way, and the woman is going to notice that if, for example, she's getting too fat around the face or into places that are not attractive, and she will do anything she can to keep that from happening. So yeah, and it's just a hallmark of good mental health as well. Okay, internally happy. So in my opinion, this helps with physical appearance. So you keep a bunch of these things in check, and your life is a bit psychologically balanced. You're internally happy. It will also make you more physically attractive. Why? Because you're not going to be stressed out. And people who have good positive energy, it's like, they have a more attractive quality. Like they project this aura about them, which actually makes them look physically better. It's the strangest thing. But think about happy, healthy, positive people. Even think about someone of your own sex. Look at the Dalai Lama. The Dalai Lama's in his 90s. I've seen the Dalai Lama on multiple occasions when I was studying and working in Mikliakot, Ganj, India. And look, the dude's in his 90s and he just has all this radiant charisma. Looks great. Totally just, obviously he's a celibate monk, but I mean, that dude could be full of game, and he's in his 90s. Look, just I think because he radiates positive energy. So if a woman radiates that, you're gonna find her physically appealing, probably even more so. Compared to even a woman who is genetically looks very attractive, but she's full of like negative, bitter energy. Like you don't want to be around that. I can think of quite a few celebrities like that who doesn't matter how good looking they might physically be, you can just tell they're full of bitter hostility. You don't want anything to do with that. Okay, finally, obviously rejects feminism. Just see all the prior points. So in my opinion, it's a given. So if a woman considers herself a feminist, just forget about it. You can't even rationalize it. Like, well, even if the woman says, well, maybe I reject third wave feminism. Maybe that's acceptable, right? Christina Hoff Sommers, old school feminist. Okay, not so bad. But most likely, most women these days, especially if your dating pool are like millennials and Gen Zers, it's going to be this corrupted type of feminism, which is just pure cancer. So please be very mindful about that. And then the final, I guess the main point I want to bring up is these women are not as hard to find as you think. In fact, I meet women like this all the time. You just have to know where to look and get out of your city that you're in now if it mostly just has like leftist crazy women in it. So you can find these women in any smaller city, and you can also find endless amounts in places like Mexico, South America, all across Asia, East Europe, the Middle East, Africa. That's a big chunk of the world. That's most of the world. So yeah, women that I've dated abroad, again, whether that's Africa, Asia, Mexico, wherever it might be, to me it was just like meeting unicorn after unicorn after unicorn. The unicorns were the standard. It's only when you're in the West that just a normal, healthy, balanced woman becomes like, oh, this spectacular thing that's so difficult to find. Anyway, that's it for this video. Tell me what you thought in the comments down below, and don't forget to subscribe if you want help on a one-on-one basis. Email me the contact down below, spiritualdatinghelp@gmail.com. That's it for now. I'll see you guys on the next video.